How's it going, everyone? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, and for a very long time in Fallout 76, I've been playing in power armor. You all know that. It's been my go-to because I like the feeling of running around in power armor, and I also like heavy guns, and they pair well together, of course, in the game, mainly because of the stabilized perk card. And that's just been, what I've enjoyed doing. However, recently, you get to the stage in the game where you want to mix things up a little bit, try different things. And also as well, I mentioned in a previous video, I was feeling a little bit useless outside of power armor because I had not focused on my non-power armor build at all in the game. But that has pretty much changed because I've wanted to build up my Secret Service armor in Fallout 76. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been purchasing it all. I've been rolling Secret Service armor. You know that I run a Bloodied build, so I've been gunning either for unyielding Secret Service armor or bolstering Secret Service armor. And then I've been getting all the mods for it, so all that kind of stuff. So for the past couple of weeks, that's what I've been doing, is building up my non-power armor build in Fallout 76. Or my Secret Service armor build in 76. And it's at the stage now where I want to show it to you. This is going to be a rundown of my Secret Service armor build in Fallout 76, which is Bloodied explosive heavy gun specifically. And I want to preface this at the beginning as well. This build that I have allows me to jump back into power armor whenever I want and take advantage, especially of the stabilized perk card that comes with the power armor. And of course, some of the other benefits as well, like having, very high, consistent damage resistance, energy resistance, and radiation resistance that comes with the T65 armor. Keeping in mind the Secret Service armor does compete, but especially in like radiation resistance, having that T65 there is very handy. So this is going to be my build. I'm going to jump into the game right now. We'll go through my perk cards, special points, mutations, all that kind of stuff. So let's do that now. Alrighty, we're finally at my camp in the game, and let's go through my end game Secret Service armor, Bloodied, heavy explosive build in Fallout 76. I think I said that right. There's a lot of descriptors. I apologize if I missed out on anything. We'll start off with my weapons, armor, backpack, stuff like that. And then we'll get into the actual special attributes and perk cards and mutations. So let's start off with my weapons. Now, I mentioned they're heavy explosive guns. Those are the main weapons that I use. Specifically these two, actually. So it's a Bloodied explosive Gatling gun. The third attribute is that it has increased damage resistance while aiming, which is nice. And it has that Bloodied explosive effect as the main attributes. So this is a great gun. It's very, very ammo efficient. It does high damage for, and it'll one shot, two shot, or three shot like most enemies in the game. Usually not more than that. But when it comes to the bigger enemies that require a little bit more, I'll swap to my Bloodied explosive 50 cal. The third attribute on this is a little bit worse. It's only faster movement speed while aiming. But nevertheless, I still love it. It's still a great weapon to use. Especially, again, this is also very efficient in terms of ammo. It doesn't take much to craft 50 cal ammo, or even to find it. And then, of course, I have my little ammo creation thing here that I got from the Raiders. So that just makes 50 cal rounds for me, because it's very easy to find 5mm rounds for the Gatling gun, and you don't use that much ammo when you use this gun. This is why this is my go-to. So those are my weapons. Rarely deviate from that. I don't even use heavy energy guns anymore. There's no point. I like these guns, and I will not change from them unless I can find like a fast fire rate 50 cal. I'm still looking for that. Anyways, let's go to my armor. So the thing to consider when you look at my armor in the game, I would love to be able to say I want unyielding and increased AP refresh speed and sentinel effect, but that's just not how it works in the game, right? You have to use what you're given when it comes to either picking up random legendary armor in the game or rolling Secret Service armor, which is what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks. So my kind of guide has been, if I get an unyielding or a bolstering Secret Service piece of armor, then I'll use it. right? Because both of those have benefits when it comes to a bloodied build. And when it comes to my build, I do like going with the mix of unyielding and bolstering, because unyielding gives me so many effects. Like when you have increased special attributes across the board, it gives you, obviously excluding endurance, it gives you more AP, it gives you better bartering, it gives you more strength, so you get more carry weight, a lot of stuff like that. So I like having a couple of unyielding pieces equipped, but then because I'm a bloodied build, I want to increase my damage resistance and also energy resistance, and each bolstering piece does both of that. So I like to have a couple of bolstering pieces, but again, I can't tell you that the optimal you know, combination of Secret Service armor is 2 bolstering and 3 unyielding, which is what I have. That's just what I was given when I was rolling the Secret Service. In fact, I believe I have another unyielding for my right leg, but I wanted to have at least 2 bolstering, at least, to give me a little bit more of damage and energy resistance. So when you look at my actual pieces, this is really nice. It's got increased AP refresh speed. If it was Sentinel, it would be perfect, but you know, that's what I have for that one. That's my T65. Obviously, I use that. I jump into that when I want to use it and take advantage of the Stabilize perk, which effectively ignores a bunch of armor when it comes to enemies, and it's very effective against the Scorch Beast Queen, and more often than not, the Scorch Beast Queen can be in a nuke zone, so this is the one that I'll use when I want to fight a Scorch Beast Queen, or even like the Wendigo Colossus, things like that. So I still carry my T65 with me where I go, just to take advantage of that. And then here are my other ones. I just rolled this one today. I was so happy. Bolstering left leg with poison resistance. Being a bloodied build, poison damage can wreck you very quickly. So having poison resistance was something that I really wanted. And the fact that I have it with a bolstering piece, amazing. I was so happy to get that. Another bolstering piece, only +1 endurance. At least it gives me a little bit of health with that. Unyielding, this is really nice as well. Increase AP refresh speed and limb damage. So I have 2 increases of AP refresh speed. So my AP just goes up insane amounts. It's very quick, and a little bit less limb damage. So keep those in mind when I go through my perk cards as well. Because like, you know, for instance, I don't have Action Boy because I literally have 2 armor pieces that give me more AP, or give me AP faster when it refreshes. And then an unyielding right arm, which is gives me the ability to breathe underwater. Not the best. I would like to get a better right arm unyielding piece, but I am trying to get all of the unyielding pieces just across the board, just to have them. And the only one that I'm missing, as I mentioned, is the left leg. So I'm continuously rolling left leg pieces until I get that. And then I'll probably, you know, roll the other ones to get better unyielding or bolstering pieces. So, and then just for the time being, I'm using the Urban Operative Under Armor. And I believe I have, it's like the shielded lining. So that shielded lining gives me a little bit extra damage resistance and energy resistance, stuff like that. When it comes to my backpacks, so I got 3 of them. I've got armor plated, high capacity, and lead lined. So this gives me an extra 90 damage resistance. This gives me more carry weight when I want it, and this one gives me more radiation resistance when I want it. So just depending on the situation, I'll equip one of them. Usually I have the armor plated because look at my damage resistance, it's pretty high right now at 735, so I do like that. But if I'm, you know, when you're a bloodied build and you're fighting enemies that swipe at you and give you radiation damage, it's nice to have that 90 boost when it comes to lead line. So if I'm fighting a lot of ghouls or whatever, I might swap to that. And aside from that, I got a BOS jumpsuit. It's pretty cool. It's not really part of my build, but I just wanted to show that off. Alright, so that's weapons and that's armor. Let's go through my mutations. This hasn't really changed much from the last time, aside from the grounded mutation that I added because I don't use energy weapons anymore. But yeah, adrenal reaction. You get more weapon damage at lower HP. The bad thing is that it reduces your max HP, but when you have a perk card like a Life Giver, it balances that out. I don't use Class Freak because I don't think the negative effects of my mutations are that bad, to be honest. But I might swap it in every now and again. We'll get to that. Bird Bones, less strength, but you have a reduced fall speed. It's just awesome. I like the ability to jump and fall slowly. Well, that wasn't a good example of it. So like that. it's just fun, man. It's fun, and it is helpful in some situations to kind of try and float and get to higher ground, so that's why I like Bird Bones. Grounded, so yes, you have less energy gun damage, but you have plus 100 energy resistance, and that's really beneficial. So my energy resistance at the moment is almost 600, which is pretty good, and that's part of that is thanks to Grounded. Herbivore, either choose herbivore or carnivore. Herbivore, it means when I eat veggies, I get double the benefits. And again, at my camp, I grow a lot of veggies. I'm obsessed with growing veggies at my camp. Marsupial makes you jump higher, more carry weight, stuff like that. Obviously less intelligence. Scaly skin, you get plus 50 damage resistance and plus 50 energy resistance, but obviously you get less AP. Keep in mind though, I do, when I am in a team, I have the perk card that also increases the positive effects of mutations, so this can go higher when I'm in a team at least. Right now, it's at the normal amount. And Speed Demon, so you get a faster reload speed, but you have to have your hunger and thirst go up by plus 50% when you're moving. And also your move speed is faster as well. So Speed Demon is nice. So just to summarize my mutations: Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Grounded, Herbivore, Marsupial, Scaly Skin, and Speed Demon. Those are the ones that I use. And I don't think I'm going to deviate from those much. The other ones aren't really of benefit to me. So let's go to my actual build. Starting off with strength, we've got the 3 heavy gunner perk cards. That of course increases the damage on my heavy gunners, or my heavy guns I should say, so those are a no-brainer. Barbarian, so Barbarian, when it's maxed out, every point of strength adds plus 4 damage resistance with a max of 80 when you're not in power armor. I like this because of the damage resistance it gives, of course. 80 damage resist is a lot, so you know, just having Barbarian there is nice for me. And then I've also got Traveling Pharmacy, and now look, in all honesty, I've got another list. I've actually got my build itself in Nukes and Dragons, so I'm going to link that below. But I've got a few other perk cards I want to kind of mention as I go along, because sometimes I do swap in and out. Traveling Pharmacy, I have that right now because, you know, I have a bit of a problem with carrying too many stim packs and Rataway and stuff like that. I just like to do it on a bloody build. I don't want to even think about having to collect more stim packs. I just can use them like that. I can pop them like pills. It's awesome. But what I should really do, in all honesty, if I was being smart about it, is not carry so many chems, take out Traveling Pharmacy, and probably put something like Blocker in, or even Lock and Load, which increases the reload speed of my heavy guns, especially when I'm using the 50 cal, because that burns through ammo a bit faster than the Gatling gun. But Blocker more so, I would say, when I'm using my Gatling gun, because you take 45% less damage from your opponent's melee attacks. That's very noticeable, especially when there's a ton of ghouls around you, any enemies that swipe at you. Very good to have. So those are my strength perk cards. Let's go to Perception. Perception's only at 1. I just have, there's a few perk cards that I alternate with here. Get out of the way, line in the sand. Glow Sight, so you deal plus 20% damage to glowing enemies at 1 star. It's a nice to have. If I don't want that, I'll go Concentrated Fire, because now that I have so much AP, I can actually take more advantage of something like Concentrated Fire. To be honest, what I usually have equipped is Green Thumb at all times. I just can't be bothered taking it out, and I, you know, harvest my crops all the time. So getting that double the yield without needing to go in and out of my my special menu is awesome. So Green Thumb is usually equipped most of the time. If I want to equip Exterminator, oh, where is Exterminator? It's E, Johnny. Exterminator, because it does better against insects. You ignore a bit of their armor. That's one that I use, and I think that's it. So those 4 perk cards: Glow Sight, Concentrated Fire, Green Thumb, and Exterminator. I'll swap between those as I need. Endurance. So Life Giver to give me an extra 45 to my maximum health. So this means when you're a Bloodied build and you're rocking, you know, below 20% health, when your HP is higher, that means that 20% that 20% is more HP essentially. So it takes me a little longer to die when I have Life Giver, and keeping in mind that other mutation that I mentioned that reduces my maximum health, Life Giver helps counteract that. So that's why I have Life Giver. Radical. This is one of the easiest, you know, 1-point perk cards that you can equip in the game if you're running a Bloodied build, because it gives you +5 strength. It's such a nice benefit to carry weight. It's the only reason why I do it. In all honesty, if I wasn't doing Radical, I would probably max out Ironclad. So Ironclad gives you damage and energy resistance while not wearing power armor. Again, if I was being smart, I would probably go max Ironclad to get, I think it's +40 is the next rank, and not do Radical. It's actually probably a smart idea, but it's only 10, so I don't mind that, and I really like the extra carry weight that Radical gives. So Life Giver, Radical, and Ironclad are my main 3 endurance perk cards. I've got a couple of others here, some that I don't actually have maxed out. Adamantium Skeleton. Until I get another Secret Service armor piece, which is bolstering or unyielding, that reduces my limb damage. This will always be interesting to me to use to completely reduce my limb damage, but I still go without it more often than not. I can't speak today, can I? But I'm not editing this out. Rad Resistant is something that increases your radiation resistance, something that might be nice to swap in and out when you don't need Ironclad. So Rad Resistance is a good one, though I don't have that right now. It's something that I'm going to work towards. I could probably get it right now if I wanted to, though. Rejuvenated. This is a nice one. Increases the benefit from your well-fed or well-hydrated status, but I didn't like how I had to keep eating and drinking and get to the maximum amount for that to be effective. And then when it reduces, when you're on a Bloodied build and you're having that increased HP from being well fed, as soon as you lose that, you lose all of your HP and you get 1. And if you don't keep an eye on that and you have 1 HP, the moment you get hit, you're dead. It happened so much when I had Rejuvenated, so I didn't want to deal with that. But it is a nice to have, to be honest, if you like to keep yourself well fed and well hydrated, because being well hydrated increases your, I think it's AP as well, or your AP refresh speed, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Fireproof. So I run an explosive build, so having Fireproof was very handy, right? Because you get less damage from your explosives, explosion and flame attacks. But keep in mind, when it comes to my chest piece, I've got a dense mod. So that actually reduces my explosive damage by half, I believe it is. It's something like that. So having the dense mod, in my opinion, actually counteracted the need to have Fireproof. I still need to test this a lot more to see the full benefit, but having the dense mod I thought was a good touch, and it allowed me to not need that perk card. Also keep in mind as well, all my Secret Service armor have the Betressed mod on them, and also I have cushioned for the legs, so I don't really have much fall damage. I should have mentioned that before. Anyways, let's continue. So yeah, Life Giver, Radical, Ironclad, and then you've got Adamantium Skeleton, Rad Resistant, Rejuvenated, and Fireproof as the alternatives that I have. So let's go to Charisma. Max Lone Wanderer, when I'm playing alone, you get less damage and more AP regen, which is nice. The additional one, I usually just equip Tenderizer because it's an extra 5% more damage to your enemies. If I don't want that, I would go probably Traveling Agent to pay less caps when I fast travel, and I don't want to swap it in and out, and I'm not really facing hard enemies. I could go a Suppressor if I'm facing an enemy like the Sheep Squatch. It does a lot of damage to you with its bloody beam attack, and having Suppressor actually helps. It reduces the output of damage of enemies like that by a certain percentage every time you hit a bullet. So Suppressor is nice. But of course, I don't always play alone. So when I'm playing in a team, I will swap out Lone Wanderer and Tenderizer, and I'll equip the following. Well, I'll just actually show you that in real time. Let's go from here and we'll go across. So Field Surgeon means my stim packs work much more quickly. And you know, when you're a Bloodied build and you get hurt, having that increase very fast is obviously nice. I use super stim packs as well, which helps that even more. So Field Surgeon, I probably don't really need it, and a teammate could share that with me, but I like having it every now and again. What else is a good one? I've got them all here. Stranger Numbers is a really good one, because this is the one that increases the positive effects of mutations when you're in a team if your teammates are mutated, so that is nice. Let's talk about, and then there's obviously, you know, Tenderizer or Suppressor. So let's say I was like, you know what, I want to go to Tenderizer, or maybe I wanted to take out Field Surgeon and I wanted to add in I don't know, 3 Tenderizer and 1 Suppress. Like, there's so many different combinations of these perk cards that I could do, just depending on the situation. But whenever I'm in a team, like these are the main ones that I use: Tenderizer, Suppressor, Stranger Numbers, and Field Surgeon. So I think that they're a good combination. Just depends what you want to do. Usually, if I'm in a team, Stranger Numbers is always equipped, unless someone's sharing it with me, because it's only 1 point. And then, you know, it'll be either Tenderizer, Suppressor, or the other one. So let's go to Intelligence. This is one that I need to explain again the rationale behind my wanting to swap into Power Armor and not Power Armor. So the main benefit of using heavy guns when it comes to Power Armor is stabilized. So stabilized means in Power Armor, your heavy guns gain excellent accuracy and ignore 45% of armor. This is really good against the Scorch Beast Queen, especially, and like other enemies that have a lot of armor. It obviously it only gives you benefit when you're in Power Armor, but you don't always need stabilized, like, to be completely honest. So I found that, you know, even though I was in Power Armor and had stabilized, it was great, I was still one-shotting enemies, or, you know, really quickly killing enemies without that. So that's why I wanted to try and focus more on my non-Power Armor build. But when I'm facing the Queen, I will absolutely equip Stabilized and get into my Power Armor. So just keep that in mind as I'm explaining Intelligence. So first and foremost, because I'm using a heavy explosive guns, I have Demolition Expert, which increases the damage of those guns. So I'll show you this in real time, just so you know. It's not an explosive gun, it's the explosive legendary attribute. So when you look at my Gatling gun, it has 665 damage right now, right? If I take out Demolition Expert, it now has 605. And that's per shot. So an extra 60 per shot is great, and it's also splash damage. So you're damaging enemies around you, which does really good when it comes to like a lot of mobs, like ghouls and stuff like that. So Demolition Expert, I like. It is 5 special points. Could they be better spent elsewhere? Yes, but I like doing max damage, so that's why Demo Expert is at 5. Obviously, Nerd Rage is a must-have on a Bloodied build, so when you're below 20% health, you gain damage resistance, more damage, and AP regen. Must-have on a Bloodied build, like that is not going anywhere for me. But when I want to use Power Armor, this is what I do. Let me explain why. I take out Demolition Expert, okay? I put in Stabilized. Where is it? Stabilized. And then I usually, it's like, you know, which is the one? Power Core Duration. So I will actually get Power User at 2, so I can equip that when I'm using Power Armor. The reason why I do this, yes, I am losing damage, theoretically, when it comes to unequipping Demo Expert. But against the Scorch Beast Queen, which is when Stabilize has its most effect, that increase of explosive damage with Demo Expert doesn't actually do much. I've tested this. I do the same amount of damage pretty much with like my Gatling gun and my 50 cal each shot, whether I have Demo Expert on or off. And that's because the Scorch Beast Queen, and I believe other enemies like the Imposter Sheep Squatch and like other like really highly armored enemies, or enemies that kind of like deal with explosive damage like the Scorch Beast Queen. Because, I kind of lost my train of thought, because they don't really get affected by it and I'm not dealing any more damage, there's no point in me having Demo Expert. Like, it's completely wasted. So I still want to have Nerd Rage. I want to have Stabilized, of course, but even those extra 2 points, there's no point in going Demo Expert, because the Scorch Beast Queen isn't going to get more damage taken against her. So that's why I'll do Power User. Like, it's not the best perk card to have, because it only just increases the duration of your fusion cores a little bit. But at the very least, when I'm using Power Armor and I don't have that many fusion cores anymore, it increases the duration of them, so I don't have to replace them as often. Excuse me. So that's my logic behind that. It's not perfect, I'll admit, but it is only when I'm facing the Scorch Beast Queen. So keep that in mind, okay? To summarize, Stabilize is very good against the Scorch Beast Queen because you're ignoring armor, but Demo Expert is not that good because you're not doing more damage with those explosives. So I am going to take that out and go back to Demo Expert. I hope I explained that well, but if not, I will do so in the comments. So let's go across here. So that is intelligence. Agility, adrenaline maxed out, you get an increase of damage of 10% for each kill for 30 seconds, max 60%. So when you're killing a lot of enemies, adrenaline makes you do plus 60% damage. It's awesome. So make sure you have adrenaline. It's a great perk card. Dodgy, so you avoid 30% of incoming damage at the cost of 30 AP points per hit. This is great when I'm out of power armor and have unyielding power armor, unyielding armor, because I have so much damn AP and it regenerates so quickly. So dodgy reduces my incoming damage by crazy amount, like 30% each time I get hit. And I just want to kind of like, I'm going to use a bunch of my AP right now just to kind of like, it's increased so fast already because of my my unyielding armor that I have. It increases the AP refresh speed. So I've just used a little bit there, right? Now watch it go up. It's awesome. Like having 2 armor or pieces of armor that has that increase of AP refresh, it's just amazing. So that increases the viability of dodgy because dodgy relies on AP, and the more AP you have and the faster you generate it, the more incoming damage you're going to avoid. Love it. We'll always have dodgy equipped. Especially if it's a harder enemy. There are certain instances where I might take it out, and I'll explain that. Evasive. So evasive, with each point of agility, you get +3 damage and +3 energy resistance, max 45. Again, this is great when you have unyielding armor. So when you have unyielding armor, look at my stats, right? This is not the highest that it can take you. Just let me be very, 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 very clear, right? But at least with my unyielding armor, I have 3 pieces right now, right? The right arm, left arm, and the chest. So when I go back to, where am I right now? My stats, my agility is at +24, okay? So if let's do this in real time. If my damage resistance is 735 right now, and I'll take off evasive, it should get rid of 45, and it does, so 690 now. But then I'm like, no, I don't want to be 690. I want to be another +45. So I equip that, and now I should be back up to 735. So I really like evasive just because of that extra boost of not even just damage resistance, it's also energy resistance, an increase of 45 because of my unyielding armor pieces. Again, another benefit of having unyielding armor, even though I don't have a melee or anything like that, even with a heavy gun build, it still does very well. But there's a few other ones that I might equip every now and again. I used to use Action Boy. It increases the refresh speed of your AP. But because I have those 2 pieces of Secret Service armor that do that for me, I don't need Action Boy anymore. So Action Boy stays away, unless I really want AP. And then there is a couple of others. So I don't even know if I have them. Yeah, moving target. So you gain damage and energy resistance while sprinting. Because that only gives you a benefit when you're sprinting, I didn't find that was that good, but it's an option for me to use if I ever wanted it. And then there's Gun Fu. Gun Fu, what it does, every time you get a kill on VATS, VATS swaps and then you get an increase of damage. The reason why I thought about using this is because with my Gatling gun now, you know, I have so much AP thanks to the unyielding armor that it actually would be alright to use Gun Fu, because every time I swapped, I would get even more damage in each kill, and then that would pair with adrenaline, and that would have so much damage. But I'd prefer something like evasive, because I'm more concerned right now, not with increasing my damage output, but with increasing my survivability. So that's why evasive is there, and that's all in agility. So let's go to luck. Luck, serendipity. I want to make this clear, serendipity does not work in power armor, okay? It only works when you're out of power armor. But when you're below 30% of health, like I am, you gain a 45% chance to avoid damage. That's almost half a chance, like 50% almost anyways, to avoid damage anytime you get hit. Anytime. So like auto guns shooting against you, anytime you get swiped, it's almost 50% chance to avoid damage. It's an amazing perk card when it's maxed out. If I'm in power armor, I use Ricochet instead, which doesn't give like the same effect, but you get a chance to deflect back some of your enemy's range damage. It's deflect back, so it doesn't actually hurt you. And regardless of how much damage it deflects back to the enemy, the fact is it deflects the damage to you, so it's not being dealt to you. That's very important. But Obviously, Serendipity is better because it has better percentages. Starch Genes, obviously I don't want to lose my mutations, and I don't want to gain any new mutations, so I have Starch Genes at all times. And Bloody Mess increases my damage by 15% across the board, so that is a no-brainer. A couple of others that I'm going to quickly mention. Class Freak. It reduces the negative effect of all your mutations by 75%. It's a nice one to have if you want to swap it in, but I thought these were better. Also, Ricochet again when I'm in Power Armor. One gun army if I want that when I'm using my heavy guns. I think you have to have Power Armor as well. No, it's just heavy guns, so you gain a stagger chance and a chance to cripple a limb, but because I'm killing enemies very quickly, it doesn't really have that much of a benefit for me. And then there's like 4-Leaf Clover, Psychopath, and Better Criticals. If I really wanted to lean in on that VATS side of my build, because I have the choice now with the Unyielding Armor, then I would equip those. But I don't really have space to equip those. They're just something for me to think about every now and again. But this is my main build. Again, it's linked in the description below. And for now, let's get to the conclusion. Alrighty, Wastelanders, that is all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions for my builds, perk cards I should be using instead of the ones that I have, different mutations, of course, anything like that. I'd be happy to hear out your thoughts and respond to you in the comments. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.